kind of nice. One of you is a hero. The other, traitor. That's the wrong word. A pretender. None of those sound right. One of you copied the other one and did better than they did, pretty much in all areas, and you're mean. That's better. I think we're gonna review the GoPro 11 versus the DJI Action 4, and the X3000 might be in the old knapsack. I think it stands a chance.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So is it obvious to you immediately? I think I would know right away. It's like, yeah, GoPro has a certain look, DJI has a certain look, and you've probably watched 100 reviews already and you know that the DJI is wider. I can't fool you. DJI is over there on your right. GoPro here. 11 versus the 4. Thank you, Danny Black, for plot twisting us a DJI Action 4. He was like, he heard my sob story. I think he emailed me before the sob story was released, where DJI didn't send me one. They said they would, and they didn't. And he's like, I'll send you one, buddy. Come on, let's go. So thank you so much. He said I wasn't gonna get it. Even though, like, on paper, it's better than the 11 in many ways. I don't sidestep crab walk into a camera store very often. So you have him to thank. Go subscribe to him, because without him, this shitty video wouldn't be yours. Slight differences in distortion detected. That can't be good. Low light scenario. Glimmer glass detection. It's a valid test. So I've been using the Action 4 for a couple weeks now. I've made many videos on my other channel to really dial it in. The first video I made, I didn't realize the firmware had to be updated. I thought it automatically updates when you're connected to the app, but for some reason my internet wasn't working. Somehow I can open the app and then the network wasn't there, so it wasn't telling me that my firmware is out of date, so I couldn't lower the sharpness. So finally, we have DJI letting you lower the sharpness so you can have like a somewhat, that's a car, an interesting car, not just a Volvo. So like GoPro has been letting us do for a long time, lower the sharpness, and that gets rid of the action cam look. So I've been very impressed with GoPro's 10-bit image, and it's like soft and pleasing, and you can get some nice slow-mo. If we were to run across the street in 4K 120p, who would have the advantage? But what if you had to run across the street in 240 frames per second? GoPro has the 2.7K versus just 1080p. It's funny, all those running across the street gags I do, and I almost died by an old man on a bike. I did not think that's how I'd go out, but I almost did. Can they hear every word? That's annoying. Low light scenario, anyone? Who's doing it? Who's doing it? One of you? Who chooses me? No one ever does, until you get rid of the sky. Interesting. DJI should have the advantage. Much bigger sensor. It's just there's quite a bit of crops in this sensor. I hate that side of the street. It's so dark and gloomy. Oh, what a loser. So by the end of this video, I'll let you know which I prefer. But so far, there's a couple things that really annoy me about the DJI. The first is the audio. You can get by with just, okay, here we are, just DJI audio. Not bad. It's actually pretty good until cars start coming. You can get totally by. I just have the GoPro Wind Slayer on here from like the 8. Don't quote me on that, but it fits like perfectly. It's the same exact design. And so like I've been vlogging with just that, no mic whatsoever, and it's very convenient because I put a little backpack clip on, boom, and then when I see something, very quick. That's nice. But in order to get external audio, it's just very finicky. I saw a video by Wayne Rex. He mentioned that like you need a USB-C to TRS adapter. I don't think I have that, so I have to order one. That's 30 bucks. And that brings me to the second thing that's annoying. Right now, you're looking at a GoPro image with a glimmer glass filter on there, and that, coupled with the lowered sharpness, takes away any gimmicky video uncle with a camcorder look that you would typically have with an action cam. So it's like nice and pleasing, but nobody makes a cage for DJI that can put filter threads on, and I think it's probably because the lens is too ass wide. You'd need an 82mm filter thread on it, I think. Like, what would you even do? How would you design it? I don't know. And then it would block the screen. Not that I use it very often, but it's nice to know that you're in the rule of one. Sometimes, back here, wow, it's a little wide. So the reality is you cannot put a glimmer glass on, and yes, somebody sent me a video saying, here's the hack. On the DJI Action 3, it came with two little rubber pieces for a lens grip. You stack those, and then you can get a 40.5 filter, and it's on there really good. They no longer send you those, so that's fun. And ordering them is like, yeah, okay, that's what you're getting. Where do you get it? I can't even find one. So in my opinion, I will tell you if I change my mind after seeing this footage. I think the GoPro will have the more cinema feel to it, with like highlights blooming, and it's like, wow, what are you filming on? An action cam? Whereas Action Boy over here is the actual look that you can expect from an action cam, but it's pretty good. All right, enough is enough, GoPro. Go sit on a bench somewhere. Let's pit the DJI against the real hero, the Sony X3000. The only camera worth buying in 2023. Now, unfortunately, time has passed my old girl by here. She's a little weak in the knees. Sony hasn't given her much love over the years. There hasn't been an update since 1966, when the First World War was won by Russia. It's bullshit. I think you could use an update, but whatever. It's not really a very fair comparison because I have a filter thread that I found on AliExpress, but it vignettes pretty hard, like really badly. So I have to crop it on in there, and then you have some hope versus like mega wide DJI. It's not exactly a fair comparison. In fact, it's in the shot, the Sony X3000, kind of, sometimes. That's annoying. But I'll tell you, a little X3000 over here with the glimmer glass. It's a Black Pro Mist. Not bad. For just like in your pocket. I would not put it on a tripod like this. And I know the audio. As soon as I switched to it, you heard it. It's a little compressed and loud. But whatever, I can put a mic jack in there, and that's just so annoying about the DJI. It's like the USB thing is so very finicky. You need the right plug, and sometimes it doesn't work on all units. It's like one guy with an Action 4, it will work, and then another guy's like, it's not working for me. Asshole, I used your affiliate link. Calm down. You know what never makes a mistake is a 3.5mm mic jack. They just always work. You plug in a microphone, it's never like, oh, it's not compatible. It's designed for mics. It always works. USB-C, not so much. When it comes to stabilization, if I could display it to you with an angry dad walk, you notice when your son doesn't do his homework on time and then you have to do it, you stupid kid, I don't remember any of the math. You think I'm any better of this at you? Of this at you? No. So you notice how DJI, if you're like wiggling a lot, I wiggle in the shot, background perfectly steady, whereas Sony's so much more natural. It's optical stave. It's the only one with that. It's not good, it's worse, but like, it's natural.
One thing I like doing on the DJI is slowing it down 50%, filming at 40 frames per second, and nobody can tell the difference.
So let's be real, nobody can actually compete with the X3000. It was a losing battle from the start, and I'm sorry to having put that through you. put you through that. There's a lot of things I like about this DJI. If you just succumb to using a GoPro wind slayer on it, and then it's like, really, this is how wide you can get just hand holding it. I'm holding it by the camera. It's like fun. I went to the X. It's like everything you could need. The audio was fine. I've made many vlogs on the street in super loud situations. So we're on a dinosaur ride. Safety first, kid. I'm so scared. And it was fine just like this. I do prefer the lav mic because you can isolate fire trucks. They're loud. It's irritating to my blood. All right, I'm gonna go home and review this footage because I haven't seen my GoPros side by side and the colors, dynamic range, all that. I'll compare it all. We'll talk a little more crop life and, oh my God, it's a wasp. One stung me last week, it sucked. How you doing? I'm leaving. Okay, I've had a chance to review the footage. It's funny because some shots I prefer the GoPro, others the DJI. It's very close. There would be no reason to upgrade from one to the other. Pick your camp. Are you in a GoPro surfer boy camp or a DJI helicopter school? Just pick it and trust. When it comes to the weights, the GoPro is the heaviest because it has this metal cage and it's like, but that's what you have to do. This is the audio adapter and that holds that. Like, it's still doable. It's lighter than a mirrorless, but it's heavy at 390 grams versus the DJI in its current state with a little fluff boy, which I have. You know what the annoying thing about this is? Even though it is only 197 grams, to get the files off, I have to keep peeling this off, and I've noticed that this is like no longer perfectly covering the mic thing. It's like a bit open there. This part here where the mics are. So like I've stretched it. You're gonna have to buy one of these every year. And the annoying thing, there's no lens cap. Man, so put it in your pocket. Oh, it's all smudged. And the lightest of all, of course, the best camera ever made, the Sony X3000, at only 165 grams, even with the Black Beast on there that allows the Black Pro Mist filters and a lens cap. Don't look at me, look at the cap. The funny thing is, the Sony still has the most natural colors. The footage stood up well, even though I had to crop it in 17% to get rid of the vignettes. It's like on par. Like when we're talking 120 frames per second, okay, the DJI now does 4K, we're stuck in HD over here and it's aged. It does not look well at all, and that's unfortunate. Sony hasn't updated this in like 25 years, and when we switch into 240 frames per second, which I'm shocked the Sony can even do back then, 2016 or something, it was leading the industry doing it. I only give DJI a slight edge in this. Like, it's almost the same quality. It's pretty poor. I'm like, this is 720p. I just take some points off the Sony for having such bad moire in that mode. And the DJI has it too, but compared to the GoPro at 240p, the GoPro is superior quality in all areas. There's no moire that I see. And the DJI has some, and then the DJI also looks a bit over sharpened, but the GoPro stab seems to be worse somehow. There was a lot of rocking movements, but it's not like deal-breaking movements, just bad. And obviously, the DJI is going to be a bit sharper than the GoPro because I have the glimmer glass, you bunch of monkey morons. How many comments am I going to get? The GoPro's so much softer, bro. I'm buying DJI. I can use my mom's credit card. It's a frickin' softening filter on purpose. On reason, I was gonna say. Now for the most shocking thing, and then I'll get into my conclusions on which I will be using from here on out. Oh, what a clickbaity sentence that was. When it comes to the crops of how big you think your sensor is, just some quick math, you will be happy you came to this college. So this is a 1/1.9 of a sensor, which means, in layman's terms, it's 52.6% of a 1-inch sensor. So like almost more than half of a 1-inch. Whereas the DJI is a 1/1.3-inch sensor, which is 76.9% of a 1-inch. So it's the bigger sensor, but let me show you something. Here is that full sensor. Handheld, this is the widest it can get with no stabilization whatsoever, so it's not actually usable unless you're on a tripod. Not the greatest. So here it is on my desk, so you can see on a tripod, full sensor. When you turn rock steady stabilization on the lowest level, boom, you crop in 19.7%. So this is ultra wide with just the lowest level of stab on. Boom, you switch into wide now. Now you're only 51.5% of your full sensor. Jump into standard, which is the de-warped, it's all linear looking. You're only 39.9% of the whole sensor. And dare we dream you turn Rocksteady Plus on? You're 16.8%. So bottom line for the DJI, you were roughly 77% of a 1-inch sensor on paper, but in Rocksteady normal, low, and standard, which is what you're probably going to use, that's what I will be using, you drop down to 31% of a 1-inch sensor, which is actually smaller than those 1/2.3-inch sensors of our old point and shoots from 1996. Now, I'm not going to repeat all that for the GoPro, but if you shoot in your 8x7 full frame sensor with stabilization on, and then you crop it in to a 16:9 ratio, you're only using 30.4% of the actual sensor, which is only 15.99% of a 1-inch sensor. So it's basically half the size of the DJI sensor, you little GoPro loser. The funny thing is the Sony X3000 has the smallest sensor, but it doesn't need to crop at all. But then I crop in post, so I ruin it. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Buy an X3000 through my links. So obviously the X3000 is so dated and the audio jack just sounds like hammers. It's bad. It's pretty bad. But it's still surprising how well the footage holds up. It's still probably would have beat all these in low light. It could have. But when it comes to this setup with the GoPro and the filters versus this, just minimalist, you could do minimalist on the GoPro, but why would you? You could take all that stuff out and put the GoPro fluffy thing on, and then it'd be light. First, let me insult it a bit more because there's some things that annoy me. So for your next DJI Action 5 or a firmware update, please, there's some things that will annoy you. The folder names. You say that I can rename the files however I want, so I did KC1. Why do I have the DJI -_001 -? Then you name it whatever you want. It's get rid of all that and just KC1, KC2. You know what I mean? Come on. And then look at the actual files. What in God's name? DJI _ the date. The exact time, maybe, I don't know what those numbers are, then the 0001, and then your custom thing at the end. No, man. The DJI has much easier to edit files. They're both 10-bit, but this is so much easier. The GoPro 5.3K, it chugs, it's annoying. So this is a compliment sandwich. I'm insulting you and then giving you some baloney. Just take it. The DJI has a much better touchscreen and just the whole interface. I love that there's one button here hidden by my foam piece, but it's you press once to switch custom modes. And I love that if I'm in HD 240, it's just one button press goes back to number 1, which is your regular. I do 4K 48p. So it's very easy to navigate. When it comes to close focusing distance, I feel the DJI is a little sharper, closer. It's hard to tell though. It's fake sharpness. Maybe the GoPro does. But you could also put close focusing filters on the GoPro, not the DJI, because no one has a cage with filters. It's really annoying. No lens cap either. I think the biggest flaw of the DJI is the lens is too ass wide. You can't even escape your own shot. There's nowhere that you could be on our Earth that would not be in the frame. I've tried to escape it. I ran. The one side didn't work. I almost got out here, but you cannot get out. It's too wide. It's like a 1mm lens. Why did you go so wide? I don't get it. From top to bottom, I had to lay down and then worm my way through the hallway. I'm still in the shot. You can't leave it, no matter what you do. So it's like you start with this goofy ass wide lens, it's ridiculous, and then Rat Boy comes to visit you and he's eating your cheese and like, what are you gonna do? The funny thing is my Huawei P40 Pro has the same sensor size as this. DJI finally caught up to it, but the Huawei has like a nice 25mm lens with a 1.8 aperture, so you get some stuff. Now excuse this amazing audio for a second, but this is actually the same size sensor as DJI, only we have an actual nice focal length, although I would extend it, I swear to God, and like a 1.7 lens or something in Huawei color science. It's better, isn't it? Less crops. It's a bigger sensor in a phone. That's bullshit. But having said all that, DJI has the more natural colors, I think. Definitely better than the Huawei. Dear goodness, don't even look at that side by side. It's not even close. And compared to the GoPro, I don't know, sometimes I prefer the GoPro look, other times DJI. I just bought a USB-C to TRS adapter so I can do a lav mic because I don't trust this foam piece anymore, but so that should be a very minimalist thing that doesn't have this little lav mic clipped. Decent little vlogging lens. It's fun, easy to use, stable, in focus somewhat. Not bad. I really wish I could put filters on there. Damn you. The only problem is GoPro 12 is looming, and what will it have? Will it like all of a sudden, oh my goodness, like defeat this thing? So like hold off on your affiliate purchases for now and wait till that thing's announced. And like, does it destroy this, or is it just like a minor, sometimes they're minor upgrades, other times ba-boom. This does 10-bit and 4K 120. This does not. It looks better too. I like it. And you get the log with a little LUT, official DJI LUT. Looks pretty good. You don't have to do much. I do much prefer the form factor lengthwise vlogging. It's a pinch grip, and like your arm is angled out of the shot, whereas these, you're holding underneath, and then you got this extendy arm, and it's just stupid. You can't really pinch it, because like once you go to this side, then your hand is in the shot, you clog grip freak. So not bad, DJI. Thank you, Danny Black, for sending it on over. Let's all go to subscribe to him. I'll tell you that much. So pretty good. Like, I don't prefer any, I'll be honest with you. I kind of like this. I'll probably still use this sometimes. X3000 most of the time. Okay, sorry for such a long video, but I take action cams seriously. This is my genre. They're the closest thing you can get to a vlogging camera. And they're all pretty good. Can't go wrong. I'm gonna leave. How you doing? Camera Conspiracies t-shirts have been sold in some countries. Subscribing for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.